I will call to order the regular meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, Thursday, May the 5th, 2011. Our invocation tonight will be led by Deborah Uso, Ascension Parish employee. Deborah?
Son and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we ask you to look down on everyone here tonight for equality and justice for all. Everybody get along and protect everyone from the flood stage. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deborah. Our pledge tonight will be led by Ms. Tamikio Garrison, Executive Director of the AMI Kids.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Roll call, Ms. Cinnamon. All present. Don't have any chair additions tonight. Public comment period. If anyone hasn't signed in yet on any agenda item, please sign in. You'll be allowed 3 minutes. We'll get to our presentations. Item 5, proclamation. It's National Black Rodeo Month. President Martinez.
Proclamation to proclaim May 2011 as National Black Rodeo Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas K&L Rodeo Production, LLC, is a rodeo sport organization that emphasizes a strong objective to provide family-oriented entertainment. And whereas K&L Rodeo Production, LLC, strives to preserve the culture of the African-American cowboy's history by educating audiences on the sport. And whereas, through education, it is this organization's goal to offer an alternative sport to youths locally as well as nationally, with an emphasis on those youths with at-risk characteristics. Whereas, although this organization provides entertainment for all ages, it also gives back to the community. And whereas this year, K&L Rodeo Production, LLC, has chosen to raise money for CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocate, a nonprofit organization that speaks up for abused and neglected children in our area to help them reach safe and permanent homes. Now therefore it be proclaimed, I, Tommy Martinez, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of authority vested in me, do hereunto proclaim May 2011 as National Black Rodeo Month in Ascension Parish. And we want to thank them because CASA was here last month and the Blue Ribbons, and it's a great organization in our parish, and we want to thank you for choosing this charity. Thank you.
Thank you, President Martinez. I'd like to say thank you to all the Ascension Parish officials. Like the President said, this is our 3rd year coming. We chose CASA as our chosen charity this year. We look forward to a great show, entertainment for the whole family, for kids. Everyone is invited. Everyone is allowed to participate. Once again, we thank you for having us. Thank you for this proclamation.
Councilman Joseph.
Can one of the gentlemen tell us when the Black Rodeo going to be at Lamar Dixon?
May the 21st. Lamar Dixon at 7:30.
Okay, so next we have a Certificate of Achievement. Coach Butch Little, please.
Butch.
So this gentleman needs no introduction. He's been around as long as George and I have. He's been teaching for, 45 years now, and coaching and helping the youth in Ascension Parish. Had the opportunity to play softball with Butch years and years ago, and I can tell you that he was still a competitor then, and I know he's still competing now. So, Butch, it's my honor and the council's honor to wish you well in your retirement. 45 years is a long time, and you've touched a lot of kids' hearts, and I'm sure that everywhere you go on the street, you find somebody that you've touched or taught over the years, and that's what makes it all worth it. So, certificate of appreciation. This certificate is hereunto awarded to Coach Wellman Butch Little. The Parish of Ascension is proud to present this certificate of appreciation to Coach Wellman Butch Little in coinciding with your upcoming retirement as an educator, administrator, and coach. For 45 years, you have tirelessly given of yourself to make a monumental difference in the lives of children here in our parish and other parishes across the state. We join Councilman Chairman Pat Bell and the entire Parish Council in expressing our deepest gratitude for all you have done for Ascension Parish. Thank you, Butch.
Thank you, Tommy, and let me express my thanks to the council for this honor. When you stay as long as I have and hang around, there has to be a love somewhere down deep, and I do truly love coaching and being around kids. It keeps me young, and I'll promise I'll try to stay retired this time.
Next, we'll move to our parish president report. Mr. President.
First and foremost, let me just say that today we joined 12 other parishes in declaring a state of emergency here in Ascension Parish due to the impending water levels that will be coming down the Mississippi. So we did it as a precautionary measure. Hopefully we don't have any problems here in the parish, but we want to be ready to get assistance in the event that something does happen. So we took those measures today. So I just want to let you know. And the only other thing I have is Ms. Sherry Despina, would you please come up? We were called to a meeting this week, and had a lot of folks there, and we were trying to figure out what we could do for the people in Tuscaloosa. And Chamber came up with a great idea, and certainly I want to ask Sherry to please tell you about what's going to go on this weekend. Sherry?
Hello, Councilman. Thank you so much for letting me speak. One of my board members contacted me last week and asked if there was something we could do for the people in Tuscaloosa. You know, after Katrina, we had many people that came from Alabama and other places, of course, to help us out. And so they wanted to know if maybe there was something we could do to reciprocate this for the people in Alabama. So this Saturday, again, like Tommy said, I do want to thank him and Sheriff Wiley and Mayor Arsenault. We had some Rotary Club presidents, JFA, board members, plenty of people, and of course Rick Weber with the OEP that showed up, and all of a sudden it was like, not what can we do, but let's just get it done. And so this Saturday at Lamar Dixon from 10 to 5, we're asking for anyone and everyone that can help donate items that can benefit the shelter over there. We do have a point of contact. We have a drop-off that we're taking it to. We have an 18-wheeler, and we want to stuff the truck this Saturday. So I do have some flyers here if anyone's interested. We'd love to have participation from the entire community. They're in desperate need of baby supplies and anything for shelters, cots, pillows, blankets, toiletry items, non-perishable, anything like that we can help. So we're asking for everybody's help. Bring it through. We'll have people there to take it from you, and it can just be a drive-through. So from 10 to 5, Saturday at Lamar Dixon, we'd appreciate everyone's help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rick has contacted his counterpart in Alabama, and we're gonna make sure that whatever supplies are collected here gets distributed to the people that need it. So that's a good thing. So anything that you can do Saturday, need volunteers to help load the truck and bring whatever goods that you can. So we appreciate it, and that's all I have, Chairman. Yeah,
Okay, sir.
thank you.
Any questions for the president? Okay, sir, thank you. Item 7, consent agenda. I'll need a motion, please.
So moved, Chairman.
Got a motion by Councilman George Valentine, second by Councilman Randy Cluard. Any objection? Motion carries. Committee recommendations. Chairman Dempsey Lambert, please. Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. April meeting, A is approval to begin advertising for installation of a four-way stop on Joseph Avenue.
Need a motion. They got a motion by Councilman Kent Shakespeare, second by Councilman Randy Cluard. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
B is the approval of speed limit reduction from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour on Joseph Avenue Road. This is the area from 931 to LA 933.
A motion by Councilman Chris Lohr,
Second.
second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
And C, renewal of unitary plan of operations for selections of Parish Road for new construction and maintenance for the next 4 years.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that. I'd also like to thank on A and B, past president, both state reps, Smiley and Lambert, and Senator Armady for the exchange of the road on Joseph Avenue. It was a lot of hard work, and want to really thank y'all for putting in all the help with that.
Okay, sir.
That's the end of the report.
All right, sir. Thank you. Item 9 will be our public hearing. Mr. John Diaz to provide the community with information regarding the redistricting process and receive public input. Well, it's not John, but Mr. Jay Vigner.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. Unfortunately, John couldn't make it here tonight, so he did send me. I'm representing Magellan Strategies BR. We were hired by the council to take on the task of redistricting the 11 council districts here in Ascension. I'm here to cover a couple of guidelines, a couple of tasks that we usually go over. Okay, that's up good. When you want to start redistricting, there's a couple of guidelines that we tend to adhere to, and I want to go over a couple of those basic rules when we do redistricting. And I'm also here to receive public input. So anybody who has any questions, that's what this meeting's for, to kind of learn about it and tell me along the way what you think. Go to the first slide, please. All right, we get to see the presentation in reverse. Go. Okay. Here we go. 1 second. Sorry about that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go over what's been happening in the parish for the last 10 years, see what drove us to where we are now. So we're going to look at the growth by precinct level and district level and kind of get an understanding of what we have to do from there on out. And then I also want to go over, like I said before, what the Justice Department looks for during pre-clearance when accepting a plan. couple of basic terms that I might use throughout this presentation. It's one's ideal value that comes back to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and what we need to do here to make pre-clearance is you have to take the parish total population, and the 2010 census came to 107,215. The ideal value takes a number of council districts in the parish or any governmental jurisdiction and divides that number, and then we come out to an ideal value of 9,747. So basically, that's saying that each one of your 11 districts, that's the perfect value for where it stands. It would be at 0 deviation. And next deviation. The ideal value, we don't live in a perfect world where everything is a square box with equal population in every square box. So they allow us a 10% standard rule, 10% deviation. You can either be +5 or -5 along the way in your district. So, for example, if your district has an ideal value of 9,747, what you would do is you would take that value and multiply it times 5. That would come out to +487 or -487, depending on if you want to get your min deviation or your maximum deviation in the process. So basically, each district can be plus or minus 5 deviation, and if you look at your max district possible, you would look at 10,234 people in your district, and your minimum in your district could be 9,260. We can't go up or down below that. All right, looking back the 10 years prior to now, what the parish did in terms of population totals. 2000, we had 76,627 residents here in Ascension Parish, which grew to 107,215 today. Well, when the census came out in January. So what we see is a 39.9% growth overall total in this parish. 10 years ago, with that population, you were looking at a district of only 6,966 for your ideal value. That grew by almost 3,000. So every district in the parish is going to have to grow out. We're looking at, we have white pop and black pop from 2000, 59,304. Black population was 15,539. That increased black population by about 55% to 2010, and white population grew at a rate of about 32%. All right, this map right here is the precinct growth from 2000 to 2010. You notice the dark green is where you have your where you have your biggest population spurts in the parish, and you see that's around Pelican Point down 22 to the river. You also are in Geismar and Prairieville. You see significant growth, especially in around the Pelican Point area, where that's a 215% growth over 10 years. Now, what does it take to get 215% growth? You're looking at a precinct that went from about 900 people to 2,500 people in 10 years. So that's going to show you, and also have these maps in the back for everybody to look at if you can't see the numbers as I can on there. But it's just a base. It does help you guide along the way where the growth is going to be in the parish. The next slide shows the West Bank here in Donaldsonville, where you did have growth overall outside of the city limits, but right inside the city, right inside of Donaldsonville, you notice there's significant loss of population there, and I'll point further to what that alludes to in the next couple slides. All right, parish demographics. We're looking at district growth. So even though that you might have seen a growth, for instance, in District 9 up top Highway 22 up north of 22 and the Lake Martin, you saw growth in every precinct. However, it's shaded light. It had only 11% growth. What you're seeing there is, even though it's 15%, a lot of precincts were over 15%. that district didn't grow at the rate of the parish as a whole. So it's going to be down significantly in population. And this is kind of what it all builds to right here. When we sit down and start drawing these districts, the first thing we're going to look at is the first thing you see is the loss of population in Donisville and District 1. And then, like I said, in District 11, you also see, I'm sorry, the dark blue. Dark blue alludes to the most population loss and deviations, lowest deviation possible. And the bright red is the highest deviation. I apologize for not having a legend there. So basically what we're going to do, the first thing we have to do when redistricting is you're going to start in the minority districts, and that is districts 1 and 3. Justice Department says that we have to abide by Section 5, and that's going to make sure we don't harm any minority district and make it worse off now than it was in the past. So no matter where you see population gains, where you see population loss, everything starts in this parish drawing in the 1st and the 3rd district. After I go through some of the districts, we'll come back and we'll show kind of how that's going to create a domino effect around the parish. All right, quickly go through the District 1 district overviews of each district. District 1, you see that is that's the lowest deviation in the whole parish. It's lost the most amount of people. It is a minority district, so under Section 5 guidelines, we will have to keep the 76 benchmark in place while trying to find more population for it. So while you try to stretch for more population, wherever you can find it to keep it solvent at 76% black population, that's pretty much the direction the parish is going to have to go when drawing the districts. District 2 is overpopulated right now, but not by that much. Remember, the deviation is the plus or minus 5 rule. It's only 0.67 higher than saying, all right, it's a solvent district. So if you just looked at it and said, okay, I don't have to do anything because I'm almost at plus 5, I might have to lose some people, but domino effect is going to occur, and it's going to come from the western part of the parish, and it could affect District 2, and that's, like I said, dominoes are going to start falling. District 3, our second minority district, it is at minus 11.64%. Pretty moderate losses, but it's also going to have to it's going to have to take from the districts around it to maintain at 62%. District 4 seen significant growth, not the highest growing district in the parish, but 0.29, that's pretty high. District 5, moderate growth, 10,398. It's not a minority. We already hit the 2 minority districts in our parish. District 6, moderate loss, 9.97 deviation. District 7 is pretty good. District 7 stands in a pretty good spot where if growth from the parishes that have lost previously kind of stops before it gets to District 7. District 7 doesn't have to do anything that wouldn't, if it wasn't already affected. If nobody touched it, it would be fine. District 8, the highest gaining district in our parish by far. That's along Highway 73 up north to Airline. 48%. That district also saw 120% growth. District 9, it's down pretty significantly, 21%. District 10, down significantly, 18%. District 11 stands pretty good, but again, domino effect will occur, and being in the position that district is in the parish, there's good odds that it will be altered. All right, legal considerations for redistricting. I kind of touched on this before. There's two things, the two things that we have to do, that no matter what drives what we do, is one person, one vote under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and protection against discrimination of racial, ethnic, and language minorities. So, and that falls on the 2 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Let's see, local governments are required to draw districts that are substantially equal in population. So that's always up, I mean, they say substantially, but it's up for interpretation. That's why we have the 10% standard. We like to say everything's as equal as can be, but that's why they gave us 10%, and that's what they call substantially. Courts recognize the importance of making districts compact, respecting traditional boundaries, preserving the core of prior districts, and avoiding contests between incumbents. What that means, and that besides the two, the one person, one vote, and protecting minority districts, this is kind of what the Justice Department will fall back on and say, we have to look at these considerations also if they did not meet one of the first two requirements under Section 2 and Section 5. Go back, please. So what we try to do is we try to make these districts as square as possible. We don't try to stretch into different places. That doesn't have to go there. Respecting traditional boundaries, that could be, for instance, Sorrento. What they try to do is they try to conserve communities of interest as best as possible. And I mean, we wouldn't, want to try to split Sorrento or anything like that. And preserving the core of the districts, in case that these are kind of way down on a totem pole, but all in all, these are things that we want to try to adhere to the best possible. All right, Section 5 applies to all government units in Louisiana. So we are a Section 5 state. Every district that is drawn in Louisiana has to adhere to it, and that's something that we have to do. Any electoral change must be pre-cleared under Section 5 with the Department of Justice. When we send off our plans, we will make sure that it did the best as possible to stay near the benchmark or above it, and make sure that we don't harm the district's chance to elect a candidate of their choice in the process. Like I said, to provide minority voters an opportunity to participate in the electoral process. Thanks. Okay, so here's just the current council districts as they are now. There's a total loss in population next to each district. Like I said, we are going to end up starting in council districts 1 and 3. Take this out here. And what's going to happen is when you have to take more minority population, it's going to start pushing, and it's going to start pushing. And while we only have 5 districts that are above deviation, that have too much population, and where everybody's going to have to go is somewhere in this vicinity, around the Prairieville area. So that's kind of where the dominoes go. That's kind of what's going to occur in this process, where we're going to get the population, while the population is up there, and what we're going to do in the process to make sure that when we come back to you guys, that we have a plan that's going to meet the criteria of the Justice Department, and definitely in the end, make sure that the people who y'all represent are fairly represented and are happy with how their districts came out. So where do we go from today? We have our first public meeting hearing today. We're going to come back across the river on May 19th for another public hearing. At that time, we will present the council with 3 maps. for consideration, and once y'all decide, we have 60 days until before qualifying to submit our maps. Now, that would be sometime in early July, so that's going to give us a little time to make sure everything is right, everybody has input, and we have the best possible map we can get. So that's kind of where we stand. Any feedback, welcome. I'll be here if anybody has questions.
Any questions, Councilman? Councilman Joseph?
Yes, sir.
I forgot your name.
Jay Vick now.
In case of a precinct being split, that date, that timeline you just gave,
Yes, sir.
can that be interrupted if a precinct is being split?
Special considerations such as, I think, matter of fact, I think the registrar of voters is under the same deadline we are. But, so you're saying if nothing's complete by that time?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to someone, and that was a question they had asked me, and I'm just trying to verify, and they say they had to go to the state legislature to be approved through the voter registration.
Yes, sir.
And what was the timeline? You couldn't tell me the timeline.
I've been told they have the same timeline we do. What happens if they don't meet that timeline and we don't have our precincts correct? I couldn't tell you. That might be something that John Diaz can answer. I can't recall an incident of that happening.
And the other thing was pre-clearance.
Yes, sir.
That is within the 60 days, that's after?
Prior to qualifying.
Prior to qualifying.
Yes, and general qualifying is September 6th through the 7th, so September 6th. So 60 days prior. I think July 5th, don't hold me to that, but it's early July. And I think that gives us significant time between the second meeting and early July to have something.
Okay, sir. Anybody else? This time I'd like to open public hearing, please. I need a motion. Motion by Councilman George Valentine, second by Councilman Randy Cloyd. Anyone wish to speak on this item, please come forward, sign in. Go ahead, sir. You got 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Councilman. My concern for this district is I've been living in Ascension Parish going on 20 years. I have seen a lot of change here in Ascension Parish since the last parish councilman has came. It is indeed privilege that before you make the decision on redistricting the district, please let the community of the Ascension Parish know first. That's all we want to know, and that's how we're going to have. Because if you want the Ascension Parish to work together, we need to work as a team. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Anybody else, please? I need a motion to close public hearing, please.
Second.
Motion closed by Councilman George Valentine, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson. Before I go any further, Councilman, I'd like to tell you on our introduction of ordinance section, item 14 will be passed on.
Jay, would it be possible to make sure that this presentation is given to administration so we can put it on the website, maybe? Parish President, would that be something we could do? Put the presentation on the website, that way it gives the opportunity for the general public to go to the web.
That'd be good. Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilman, we'll next move into our planning and zoning recommendations. Planning Director Ricky, before you start, Ricky, item 10, I have some speakers, please. Taylor Grabwall, please. Please come forward. You'll be allowed 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Taylor Gravois, and I am representing Piazza Development, and I want to speak on the LA Highway 73 Commercial Park SPUD. I'd like to simply introduce the project and give the council a brief history of the project. My client is proposing to construct 2 doctor's offices and a high-end gated storage facility on the property. It's going to have associated parking and drainage facilities along with landscaping. We began the process of planning for this project over 9 months ago, and we started off by meeting with the Ascension Planning and Zoning Department to get direction on the best way to present this project. Instead of requesting a straight rezone of the property, which could have been viewed as spot zoning, we agreed with the Planning and Zoning staff recommendation that the SPUD submittal would be the best for the community because it allows the developer to showcase the superiority of the development at the preliminary approval stage. By developing this as a SPUD, as opposed to just applying for a commercial building permit, the community has the security of a binding legal agreement with the owner-developer, that being the Developer Agreement Ordinance, that the project will be developed and maintained in compliance with this agreement. Furthermore, we have agreed with the planning staff to include the following amenities to minimize the impact of the project on the adjacent properties. These amenities include a solid wood fencing along the entire perimeter of the development. We increased the landscaping quantities above the minimum required to soften the visual impact of the buildings. All of the buildings' facades facing Highway 73 will be constructed to complement the surrounding structures. With the approval of this development as a SPUD, the community can be secured by the contract that the developer build and maintain a development in accordance with the agreement. We ask that the council accept the planning and zoning staff recommendation of the meeting to accept and approve this development as a SPUD. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Craig Rabelais, please. Pass. Okay, sir. I have J. David Matthews, please.
Thank you, Councilman. My name's David Matthews here representing Piazza Development, and I want to present just some general comments in reference to the Highway 73 Business Park that's been proposed. I came to several members of this council and members of the planning and zoning staff last summer to discuss plans to develop a commercial business park on land owned by Dr. Burdine on Highway 73 near the entrance to Interstate 10. The plan was to build 2 office buildings in front, plan for medical office buildings, and in the rear, property to develop storage facilities primarily for RVs, motorhomes, boats, dealing with the demands of off-site storage for homeowners in the northern end of Ascension Parish. To do so, we'd have to rezone the property. Currently, it's zoned as MU2. Which was not preferred by the Planning and Zoning Director, but he recommended we apply for SPUD application. The application was spelled out our plans and required us to work closely with them to meet a higher standard, and our plans, and once approved, required us to sign a developer's agreement with the parish, spelling out agreements and timelines, details that we would be held to during the development process. We worked with Planning and Zoning staff for 9 months, going through every area of our plans, and when recommendations came up with them, we responded. After we worked closely with the P&Z staff, they recommended us for staff approval to the P&Z Council, which came to meeting on April 14th of this year. During the 9 months and working with the Planning and Zoning staff, we went to all the neighbors in the surrounding areas to discuss our needs and their concerns. I met with the majority property owners of the quarters, which sits adjacent to the left side of the property if you're facing it, which has over 45 units to go over our plans. The main property owner over the developer wholeheartedly supported our plans and appreciate our attention to details. The quarters represents almost 45 units, as I said. The property owned to the right side and wrapping around the rear side of the property is owned by Mr. May of Ascension Parish and his mother, whose family owned this property for over 50 years on Highway 73. We met with him several times during the process, got their input, discussed issues and concerns that they had, and made sure we brought those into our plans. He has been in approval with the process and have kept him informed at all times during the process. As you can see, we've kept the community, those neighbors that have the most to be concerned with in respects of development.
Okay, sir, that's 3 minutes. Your time's up. Thank you. Dr. Michael Burdine, please.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am the landowner of the Highway 73 project, and I would like to say no one has any more interest in this being a quality project than I do. We're planning on placing our physician's office in front of this project. This will be directly behind us, and as being the entrance to this, we have 100% interest in this looking like a quality development. I think our SPUD shows it will be a quality development. It is our interest, it is my practice there, and we want to make sure that it is maintained as such. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Ricky Compton, please.
Highway 73 Commercial Park, Small Plan Unit Development Plan by Piazza Development Group, LLC. The Joint Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial. This is to accept or deny the recommendation of the commission.
Councilman Valentine.
Move to accept the Joint Planning and Zoning Commission's recommended to deny.
We've got a motion by Councilman Valentine to deny. We got a second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Valentine.
Certainly, the SPUD that has been described is possibly the only way that a mini storage facility or a storage facility could be put in MU2. MU2 was developed. That might be the last one we developed, more for offices and upscale businesses. And one of the drawbacks, it does eliminate a lot of certain types of businesses, one which is many warehouses or warehouse storage facilities. This is a classic example of why SPUDs and PUDs are a problem. You have an area that essentially the only way that you can put this type of business in that situation if you create a SPUD or a PUD. Now, you might say, well, that's why we created them. Well, yes and no. This is an area that is going to undergo some cosmetics changes soon with the road. It is also, as you can see by the map, the fastest growing district of the parish since in 10 years. And the fact that they want to put a storage facility is my main problem for being opposed to it. Warehouse business in Ascension Parish, I made a few calls. It's essentially a soft business at the present time. Several facilities actually are only at 30% at the present time. And it deals a lot with the fact that Katrina came in and a lot of people came and speculated and built, and now that need is diminished to the point. And I'm assuming that's why we're talking about motorhomes, boats, and what have you. To me, that's not really conducive to the area that it's being proposed in, and that's why I'm going to oppose it. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Any more discussion, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Randy Clough.
Yeah, just reading through the notes, based on the Planning and Zoning Commission that, Mr. Nance made the motion and Mr. Kluwat seconded, based on the fact that there's two things, that it's not in accordance with our current master plan, and that it's compatible development that reduces the adjacent property value. Mr. Valentine, is that's your
Pri-
agreement
primarily-
with those statements?
Yes, sir, primarily, that is the reason. If you notice, too, also, it also was unanimous vote by the planning and zoning through the planning and also the zoning, so it was essentially both recommendations.
Is that all, Councilman Clark?
That's all.
Okay, any more discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Okay, I'll move into item 13, Ricky. Before that, I have some speakers. Mr. Greg DePlessis. 11, excuse me. Greg DePlessis, please. Please come forward. You'll be allowed 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to try to be brief and just, and I'll actually, my comments will address both 11 and 12, so I don't have to come back up here for 12, because my position is the same on both. I'm just going to try to save a little bit of time, but I think certainly the past 12 months, a lot has become really clear about the opposition against the PUDs and the TNDs and all the rest of them. I think there probably is a place somewhere for those things. I'm just not convinced it's in Ascension Parish. And I'd like to impress upon this entire council that I think my sentiments are much wider spread than maybe some of you guys are getting the impression of. I'm not running into anybody in the parish other than the developers and maybe some of you guys that think these PUDs and TNDs are the way we need to go. Part of the problem is a lot of people are nervous about coming up here and addressing you guys. Some of them are actually intimidated to the point that they don't want to get put on that list and become branded as troublemakers by the council. In the event that at some point down the road they might need a permit for something and run into problems. So y'all kind of built that mechanism up where people are a little hesitant to come up here. I'm just more hard-headed than the rest of them, so I continue to come up here and speak on behalf of a lot of people. History also bears out that when elected officials consider legislation or approval of things and actually go through with it against the overwhelming opposition of their constituents, the single common denominator that usually surfaces is there was money involved somewhere, whether it be grant money, campaign contributions from sources, or for whatever reason. And I just hope history doesn't bear out that turns out to be the case in this, and then I ask y'all to once and for all abolish these ordinances. Thank y'all.
And next I got Billy. Be no applause, please. Billy Aguilar, please.
Billy Aguilar. Thank you, Councilman, for giving me the opportunity to speak to y'all. Ladies of the staff, Past President Martinez, the Ascension Parish staff. Nobody thanks y'all for the work y'all do and the knowledge and wisdom y'all bring to these meetings to have the vision and understanding to see what comes before you. It's y'all that pass the ordinances. It's y'all that vote on the ordinances. The item 11, planned PUD unit development, is actually a good tool. I think it's something that you need. I ask you that you not repeal this ordinance. Just like what happened before. If you don't like the thing, if you don't like the PUD, you can vote against it. But it's something you need. It's something that's useful in different areas. It's great for small communities. It's something that Donaldsonville needs, that Donaldsonville wants to grow. It's great things to use on some of your major roads in the parish. Highway 30, 74, 44, 42, 73, and Highway 30. Do we want just commercial on all these roads? Or do we want some kind of things that we can use and the PUDs are used to get concession from developers to do specific things that you as council members need to do? Again, I ask you, please don't repeal this. The ordinance were put in place by you. I think they're useful ordinances. It was done by you elected officials. It needs to be, if you need to modify it, take it under advisement, look at it, modify it, but please don't repeal it. Thank you.
Okay, sir. I have Mr. Phil McLaurin.
Good evening. My name is Phil McLaurin. Thank y'all for letting me speak. I would just like to tell y'all, there's a lot of people, I know where I work, that can't make these meetings, but a lot of us want to repeal these PUDs. We got enough traffic congestion, the infrastructure can't handle it right now, and we'd just like to see it repealed. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next, I have Teresa Robert, please.
Residents will not be duped into believing that PUDs are good for our community. This council cannot deceive the people by your assertion that a subcommittee needs to be formed to research the pros and cons of PUDs. We know the pros and cons of this kind of development because we've lived with the development nightmares in our neighborhoods for close to 4 years. High density, mixing of commercial and residential uses, smaller lots, inadequate roads to serve the area, and on and on. Tabling the motions before you tonight is just another ploy by certain councilmen to permanently delay what citizens have continuously asked for, the abolishment of PUDs in our parish, which destroy our communities while benefiting a chosen few, developers. There's never been a successful PUD in our parish. Ask residents next to Orange Grove, Keystone, or Bullion Crossing coming up. Citizens have repeatedly asked you to remove PUDs from our codes. In fact, the PUD allows developers to ignore and set aside what laws we do have and negotiate a plan with parish administration behind closed doors. This is absurd. No wonder development lacks consistency and is out of control. Throughout public hearings held across the parish last year, residents had expressed their concerns about the high-density development and the severe lack of infrastructure to support it. You saw and heard the outcry if you attended meetings. A parish zoning committee unanimously recommended the repeal of PUDs after discussing them at a public meeting attended by residents, developers, and commission members several months ago. The full Planning and Zoning Commission also unanimously recommended the repeal of PUDs after holding a public hearing concerning them at last month's meeting. Gentlemen, you can either accept or deny the recommendation before you tonight. This is how your agenda reads. Either accept or deny the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commissions to repeal the PUD ordinance. Will you listen to your constituents' wishes, or do you intend to represent developers by continuing the permitting of PUDs, despite the people's outcry to abolish them? Do not doubt the citizens are watching your decision closely and will remember. October is not far away. I really understand now what it means. Make my day.
Deputy Denbury, come forward, please. Next, I have Bert Duplessis, please.
Under the bottom. Underneath deputy.
See something that's continually getting out of. Take them. Go ahead, Mr. Duplessis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Councilman. First, I would like to start off tonight by thanking those of you who took my calls and listened to my concerns about the SPUDs and PUDs and T&Ds. I appreciate it. In our development code in section 17-2038, it talks about the PUD overlay zone. And if you go to letter C, applicability, it says the boundary of a SPUD, PUD, T&D overlay shall be identified on the official zoning map. And if you go down below section 3, letter C, It says simple divisions or family partitions of less than 5 lots complying with the development code and subdivision regulations. Also, letter G, subdivisions creating lots equal to greater than 10 acres in size. Well, one problem and one concern I have is that this parish was built on families. We've had same families here since the 1800s. Some of us have big families, and one of my concerns is five lots is small for some families to give their children. I can give you an example. Me and my brothers and sisters, we have 14 children. Well, how can you tell 9 children, no, you can't have a lot because all they're allowing you is 5? Or another concern I have is property rights. You're going to tell someone in a T&D and spud and put overlay that if you're in that overlay, you can only build 10 acres, have a subdivision with 10 acres, which is clearly pointed out here, and that's a very big concern of mine because I think the way this is written, it goes against a lot of families and family partitions. And families were here before a lot of the developments, and I'd just like for y'all to take that into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Plessis.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I got Bristol Plessis, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Councilman. Years ago, when the parish was pushing for zoning, we were told that zoning would protect us from something being built that was not suitable for our area. The parish zoned us conservation, 1 dwelling per acre. With spuds, PUDs, and T&Ds, we no longer have that protection that we were promised, because spuds, PUDs, and T&Ds don't have to abide by zoning regulations. Let me make this clear. I'm not against development as long as it abides by the zoning that we were promised. I, however, am against spuds, PUDs, and T&Ds because of the density they create. Over the past 10 years, our parish has experienced tremendous growth, residential growth, that has put a strain on our infrastructure. I would like to see as much effort put on developing business and industry as has been put on residential growth. Business and industry pay the lion's share of taxes. By encouraging residential development and not business and industry, our infrastructure will only get worse, and we will fall short on funds for our infrastructure. In short, I'm asking you to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to repeal the SPUD, PUD, and T&D ordinances and do away with that PUD overlay. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Al Robert, please.
My name is Al Robert. Thank you for allowing me to speak. We do not have to be everything to everybody. We do not have to be everything to everybody. We need to remember that. A PUD, by definition, is wanting to change the zoning of a piece of property to do something that's not allowed in that current zoning. So the PUD can include a mix of uses. A PUD can include a smaller lot size than is allowed by the current zoning. A PUD can include a school. A PUD can be strictly commercial, but doing different commercial uses than is allowed by the underlying zoning category. There is many different things that a PUD could be, as we saw in the last request for the change from a SPUD, whatever it was, to the storage facility. It doesn't do any good to have zoning. People can't plan. They can't understand what's going to happen in the future if somebody can come up and put a PUD and completely change what the zoning is. You can't plan. So it's not a good planning tool to begin with. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I'd ask you to follow the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Catherine Goff, please.
Chairman Bell, before I begin, may I ask how many minutes are we being given to speak?
3 minutes, ma'am.
We're timing you, you're only giving us 2.
Ma'am?
We're timing you, you're only giving us 2. Prior to the meeting, citizens were told,
3 minutes.
prior to the meeting, citizens were told that you plan to table this item. According to your bylaws, Section 11, and I quote, "The Ascension Parish Council will abide by Robert's Rules of Orders unless superseded by the Ascension Home Rule Charter or some state law." Robert's Rules addresses a motion to lay on the table in Section 17. It is never, never in order to use this motion to kill a motion or to delay its consideration. The misuse of this motion has been labeled the king of cheap tricks by Robert's Rules themselves. The item in question does not become dead by laying it on the table. You have on your agenda 2 choices: accept or deny. This means, in plain English, an up or down vote is required. A vote to accept the recommendation moves the item to become an ordinance with the notice of a public hearing. A vote to deny the recommendation means that you support the PUD ordinance and want to keep it in place. A vote to deny is a vote for PUDs. It was a unanimous recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to repeal the PUD ordinance. The Commission is the committee you appointed to deal with zoning and development issues. Their recommendation is to remove the PUD ordinance from the Unified Development Land Code. Accept or deny is your choice. Make it wisely. Residents have already decided that PUDs must go. I am not talking about developers who are using this ordinance as a large loophole to circumvent all our rules and regs. A PUD can be anything the developer and the administration can conjure up in their negotiations far from the public eye. The Planning and Zoning Commission has decided that PUDs must go. It's time for this council to concur, represent the people, protect the community, and choose to remove these out-of-control cancers from our community. Please, accept the recommendation of the commission. Thank you.
Benny Beeson? Okay, sir. Daniel Satterley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Councilman. I live in Prairieville, so I obviously have a citizen's hat, but as most of you probably know, not all of you, I'm a sitting Planning and Zoning Commissioner. This was done by your appointment to the same. Tonight I come before you gentlemen to urge you to please accept the recommendation of the Zoning Committee to repeal the PUD and TND ordinances. I wish to note that we unanimously voted on the night which this was done to repeal, to make these repeal recommendations. In fact, we had a full commission that night, like we have here tonight in Parish Council, with only one absence. The vote was 7-0 on both the PUD and the TND ordinance recommendations, with the chair, of course, abstaining, but speaking oftentimes out on this matter on the prevailing voting side for repeal. I need not remind you, I think some of the citizens have done that earlier already this evening, that by both state law and our own parish charter, the Parish Council has established the Zoning Commission and has charged it with the full duties and responsibilities to make decisions for recommending zoning ordinance changes. That's what we did, gentlemen, what we were in charge to do. We thoroughly studied these items in regularly scheduled meetings, numerous subcommittee meetings, etc., to come up with the recommendation that we made. When one couples a public outcry with the facts, it just doesn't support the PUD ordinances for Ascension Parish. I have often, in just my brief tenure now, 6 months with the Planning and Zoning Commission, been told that our job is to basically follow staff recommendations in making our decisions. I even argued this point with an attorney on the Mossy Oak subdivision. I believe that's what you should do as well this evening. Follow our recommendations. Else, gentlemen, why are we needed? Thank you very much.
Okay. Casey Burgett or Burgett? Burgett? Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. Casting a vote to study PUDs is a vote for PUDs. It is really an insult to all of the citizens. The uncontrolled growth, it's too small, I can't hardly read it. The uncontrolled growth they have brought to our community is awful. For the past year, residents across the parish have made it very clear they are opposed to PUDs. Ascension Parish does not have the infrastructure to take on of what we already have here, much less of the additional growth that has come with PUDs. I ask you tonight for your vote to accept the Zoning Commission's recommendation to repeal the PUDs. Thank you.
Mr. Phil Gaucher, please. Phil Gaucher.
Good evening. I and other residents are not against growth in this parish. However, the lack of infrastructure and management of the growth we have seen over the past 10 to 12 years is of great concern to us. Traffic congestion, lack of sewer and water, fire protection, overcrowded schools are greatly affected our community and our lives. Taxes on both sales and property cannot keep up with the needed infrastructure. The planned unit development, or PUD, has not translated into a positive in the midst of this unprecedented growth. In fact, PUDs are a great negative for our parish. Their development has not brought the needed infrastructure as promised. Instead, we have seen high density, lots of 50 feet wide, a mixture of housing which is not compatible or conducive to protecting property values, and development which ignores our existing codes. Please accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commissions to repeal the planned unit development and the traditional neighborhood development ordinances. Thank you.
Mr. Roy Domain.
Hi, my name is Roy Domain. On behalf of several private industries in our Ascension Parish, talking about the sales force for the housing industry and commercial, which is the brokers and realtors, the developers, both commercial and residential, building contractors, our trade contractors such as plumbers and electricians, our trade suppliers, and fellow members of the Chamber of Commerce. Any of these folks that I've mentioned, would you please raise your hand on behalf of these in attendance? Okay, thank you. I'm asking for 6 minutes in exchange for multiple speakers and only this presentation on line item.
No, sir, we're going to allow you 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
A man who recently was 114 years old passed away, and before he passed away, they said, "Sir, what do you think?" He said three things: embrace change. The last 29 years in this business, I've seen a lot of change. 3 years ago, we were shown statistics revealing smaller, more efficient homes were going to be much needed in demand because of our population of boomers and Generation Y, as well as the costs associated. And today, the financial responsibility and the financial needs for people to get their financing is very, very strict, very hard to obtain. Therefore, the buying ability has been decreased. When a person wants to run a business and wants to find out what he can and can't do, he always looks at statistics to get better options in his mind. They want to know who the customers are. Businesses and entities, of course, across our parish recognize and acknowledge that we got about 100,000 plus people, those we want to serve. What are their needs? Looking at the statistics, the last 3 years, new home purchases by our residents are trending down in size. New homes built on lots 69 feet and under was 16%. Under 80, medium intensity, was 52% of the market. Under 90% was 17% of the market, and over 90 foot was 14% of the market. Those lot sizes have trended steadily down to the 2010 statistics, where lots 69 foot and less increased from 16 to 36%, while those under 80 decreased from 52 to only 30%. The 80 to 89 had an increase of 2%, and 90 and plus stayed right about the same for the 14% of our buying population. So the citizens, the customers, are seeking and buying new homes on smaller lots, while our larger lots are just sitting there right now. Noteworthy also are the trends that
Okay, thank you, Mr. Domain, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had a lot of names tonight on this item, and I've gone over the list twice, 3 times. Did I leave anyone off? Please come forward, ma'am. Ms. Charlotte Johnson, please. Let's see it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. All I can say, Greg, is here comes trouble. My name is Charlotte Johnson. I'm a wife, a mother, a nurse, and Ascension Parish resident for 25 years. And so far, the voices that have been in favor of getting rid of the PUDs have been citizens. So far, the voices for the PUDs have been developers. The PUD ordinance began over 4 years ago from the Strategic Planning Commission, which was chaired by my councilman, Mr. Shake Snyder, instead of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This has been a lived nightmare experience for Ascension Parish for 4 years. It has not served what I think that the Strategic Planning Commission had hoped it would. But since we have a lived experience of the negative side effects of the PUDs, you can see why there's been an overwhelming voice of the citizens to abolish it. The Planning and Zoning Commission has done due diligence and has made a recommendation to abolish the PUDs. This is favored by the people of Ascension. This is a sentiment that has been echoed over the last few months, even from members of this council. Anything less than a unanimous vote for accepting this recommendation is a sign of the desensitization to listen to the will of the people from councilmen as well as administration. If you're not going to vote to accept the recommendations from a unanimous vote from the Planning Commission and what the people want, you're voting strictly for yourselves. Mr. Shake Snyder, you here yourself have at least 10 constituents from District 2. We are all in favor of the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, so anything less than a vote for your constituents is strictly a vote for yourself. Thank you.
Jared Barringer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Good afternoon. I've listened to a bunch of people speak tonight, and it sounds like these PUDs, T&Ds are just absolutely terrible. We heard Mr. Diaz's presentation tonight. We had over 30,000 people worth of growth in the past 10 years. We hear that these PUDs, and T&Ds are killing us. Well, the facts are approximately 1,350 lots have been approved since PUDs, and T&Ds come in. That hasn't caused our problem. 1,350 lots hasn't caused 30,000 people to move here. Fact is, one of these PUDs wasn't even built because it was annexed by a town, Sorrento. So that erases another 250, 220 lots. So now we're down to less than 1,000, or right at 1,000 lots. That hasn't created our problem. What PUDs, and T&Ds have done is created walking trails, jogging trails. We have gotten turn lanes. We've gotten landscape extra. We've gotten green space. We've gotten parks. That's what PUDs, and T&Ds have done for this parish. What has a traditional neighborhood done besides bring in 30,000 people and cause traffic problems? I don't see the problem with PUDs, and T&Ds. Traditional development is the problem. Thank you.
Representative Eddie Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give y'all a little update. One of the things we're talking about is density and problems we're having in infrastructure in this parish. I, along with a lot of other representatives here and Senator Almaday, have fought hard to bring some additional roads. But you know, we got to look at something in the future here. This high density, in my district alone, we've seen 22,000 people move into it. The traffic is getting worse. The situation is, and when you look at the infrastructure that's we're looking at now, you've got gas prices are rising, revenue from gas sales is going down, which means we're going to have a harder time meeting our infrastructure needs. We're right now 20 years behind in this parish. We have a number of projects that are going. We have Highway 42 going. That has been a long struggle for us. I mean, Mr. Martinez was here years ago pushing it. We're pushing it now. We've got it down to the inside the red zone. We've got Highway 73 that was funded in 2008, yet that improvement has not been made. The contract is supposed to be let in July. We've got a number of other projects that we're pushing, intersection improvements. The problem is we cannot keep up with the growth. When you have this much growth, there's no infrastructure that we can put in. And when you start putting this many people in, we're going to have problems with schools. We have problems with sewer we don't have yet, we need in this parish. And the more and more people we put and the higher density we're going to have, I enjoy living in Ascension Parish. I live here by choice. I don't want to live in a parish that looks like Jefferson Parish. I grew up in Baton Rouge. I don't want to live in Baton Rouge. I want to live here. We have a unique opportunity in this parish to keep it like it should be, to have a rural character, to have decent-sized lots and not a whole lot of congestion. We're at the crossroads right now, and I want y'all to really consider, do you want these type of developments where you're going to put more and more people, our traffic is going to get worse, and our quality of life is going down. You know, it's a great thing to go to a football game at Santa Maria. It's a great thing to go to one at Dutchtown or East Ascension. You have a community. And when you put some of these things in here, I don't know if you're going to have a community like you have. And I know I like living in this place, and I think we need to make sure that we keep it where it's going to be best for all of the people here. And we need to be careful about how much density, because we cannot meet it with our infrastructure needs. Thank you.
A.J. Nickens.
I'd just like to say, since our school board meeting Tuesday night, I have got numerous calls, and all of them have been commending me for the stand that I took. And I'm asking you guys tonight, I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but I'm going to ask you to consider the majority of the people of Ascension Parish and vote to accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Committee tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Ricky Compton, please.
Proposed ordinance to
Hold up,
repeal...
Ricky, hold up. Tim Terrio, I didn't have you listed, Tim, come on up. Someone, it's too late. Public comment period's over, it's too late. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what happened to my sign-up sheet, but members of the council, I appreciate you. Y'all got a tough job, and I don't want to come up here and beat up on you tonight, but I am here to tell you, testify to you. I was present at the Planning and Zoning, at the subcommittee meetings. I was present at the Zoning and Planning and Zoning Committee, where you had a unanimous vote called, sent to y'all. I was at the meetings with Mr. Lambert, all the people in the Keystone area, and all the troubles that you went through in that area with the PUDs. I was at a meeting in Mr. Valentine's area. They had over 100 residents showed up at a PUD that was proposed in that area. I heard him mention himself that 90% of his time and the issues and problems that he's had is just dealing with the PUDs. In my opinion, the developers have found a way to come in and spot zone areas and put in these 50-foot lots. One of the recent projects that came up to y'all with Bullion Crossing here recently, they turn around and all the commercial and the stuff that the PUD is supposed to promote, they're pulling it all out. And the only thing they've accomplished is putting 50-foot lots in there. That's it. You've heard the residents speak. We heard a gentleman stand up and said he represented 6 people from industry. Just pan the cameras out and look at the residents that you have in the audience that are opposed to this. And you can see. I've seen meetings where they said we're going to benefit from this from the PUD. The benefit has been the developer donated $10,000. Now the parish is going to have to spend $50,000+ to put playground equipment of taxpayers' monies in that subdivision.
or they donate a lot. One lot is big enough to house one fire truck, and for that, we say we're benefiting the parish. In my opinion, I hadn't seen one successful one yet. So what I'm asking y'all to do tonight, I'm appealing to your good sense and your good judgment, gentlemen. Please go ahead and accept the recommendation from Planning and Zoning and deny these PUDs. Thank y'all.
Tim? By the way, I had it, it just wasn't big enough.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Compton, please.
Proposed ordinance to repeal the Plan Unit Development Ordinance, Appendix 6 of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code. The Zoning Commission recommended approval of this ordinance. To accept or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission.
Motion to approve recommendation.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
To
Approve planning and zoning.
approve Planning and Zoning's,
Repeal the
all right.
recommendation.
And I have a second by Councilman George Valentine. Any discussion? Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yes. We've been listening to all of this, and there's many tools in your toolbox in order to try to get development in this parish. And we look out here, I was born and raised here, and when I was here, when it was 30,000 people. And we've had an unusual situation where we've gotten 30,000 people in the last 10 years. And they've come here in the standard subdivision ordinances that we have on the books. The traffic congestion, the lack of infrastructure, and all has come here on the standard subdivision ordinances that we have in this parish. Right now, we keep hearing about Keystone. The problem that they had at Keystone and the problems that they had that Mr. Lambert went address were the changes that were allowed to be made under our current subdivision ordinances that the developer started making much cheaper houses. And then they decided to make the rest of it into a planned unit development. They planned it, and they had public hearings, and they went through that. And because of all of that, the remaining houses are going to be made with some architectural restrictions on them. They are going to, some of them going to be smaller lots. But they're going to be lots that are compatible with the surrounding areas. We have some work to do. We have some work to do to improve our ordinances. We have some work to do to improve the planned unit development ordinances and T&D ordinances. We have plenty of work to do in our subdivision ordinances. And right now, a person can put a subdivision, not put a single infrastructure in, not put anything else in, not put a school, which the parish council does not benefit, the school board benefits, and in a sense, but all the people in the parish benefit by not having to put up that money. And make the developer puts it up, and the people that live there. People were talking about some of the other PUDs that happened. They were responsible for other schools coming in, for water lines being built and paid for by the people there. Some of them with fire stations, some of them with different things. I know we just recently purchased land and a building at fire station near Pelican Point, and it cost the parish $700,000. So those are not small things. We're trying to figure out how to get infrastructure here and how to develop here in the next few years or in the immediate future without raising anybody's taxes. And remember, parish government on ad valorem taxes is 3% of what the parish taxes go out to. Because we have good schools, because we have good law enforcement, people move into this parish. And we have to accommodate them. And so we have to try to make as much as we can the developers pay. There is a trade-off. Now, the advantage that the people have is that in a sense, the system is working, because there is more public hearing, and the reason you're getting this is because there's more public hearings on what is happening to these planned unit developments, because you actually get to see the development. You get to see what kind of houses are built, and the developer, once it's approved, once it goes through planning and zoning, comes through this council, goes back to planning and zoning, and is approved, you get to see exactly what is being built. And they are required by law for 10 years to only build that. On a regular subdivision, once they stick within the zoning, they follow the basic subdivision regulations and build whatever they want. Including, as you know, some people, people didn't know, you can build a subdivision and you can put trailers in it. You can put whatever you want. That's what our subdivision regulations say right now. So, yes, it is something that takes that into account. But what's happening is now, we're getting public input. We're getting people involved. And we're either getting better developments or we're not allowing them to go through. And the man made a statement that we've given up commercial on a recent development, and they did. They also gave up a bunch of townhouses, and it was all single-family residential and a school. And it was going to be paid for by the people that moved in and the developer. It was also responsible for changing the DODT infrastructure on the whole airline corridor because of that. And it's a tremendous amount of money. Do we have some problems? Yes. Can PUDs are planned unit developments. It's planning. They sit down with professional planners. They sit down with the people that they have. They come before more scrutiny than anything else. And as you can see, it's very hard to pass through all the scrutiny right now. And rightfully so, because of the situation we're in our parish. But it's one more tool in our toolbox to take a look at. We need to use them sparingly and wisely, and we're learning how to use them. But we need to take advantage when it's necessary and when we can get infrastructure and it's in the right place and be objective to it. And I think we need to go back and take a look at it, try to make some adjustments, try to fix what's wrong, make it better, and use it as one part of our toolbox. Those 30,000 people didn't come in here on planned unit developments. Those people that made the transportation problems and the infrastructure problems, they came in regular subdivision. We didn't change that at all. We have no control over that. In the past 6 months, this body has approved 6 mixed-use developments on Highway 73, of which currently you can put up to 20 units per acre in each one. We have no control over what they build and how they build it. That's the zoning in it. That is far more, and no benefits, no traffic, no infrastructure, nothing. That's the facts. So we need to be aware of that. By doing away with planned unit developments, you're not solving the problem, because our problems go way beyond that. We have to work to upgrade our subdivision regulations. We have to work to upgrade how and when we do planned unit developments. We have to adjust them, but don't take a tool out of your toolbox that could be used just because it looks like it turns out bad. Because right now, everybody's placing the problems that we have in this parish on planned unit developments, and I'm not sure how many units we've had so far completed. Ricky, do you know? 100? 100 houses. We're blaming 100 houses built in this parish on all the infrastructure problems we have, all the transportation problems. Is that causing our problems? I'm not sure, and I'm willing to listen and try to solve them within our budget that we have, within the state budget that we have, and with the federal budgets we have. It's not easy. And so we're looking for answers. We're looking to way to make things better. And we do want you to keep involved and make the best developments we can have. But I think the best developments we can have, with your input, is to have a meeting at Planning and Zoning and public hearing, and it goes to the council, and it goes back to Planning and Zoning, and they're required by law. That can be one of the best developments we have here, as opposed to currently a subdivision that a developer meets the simple guidelines and starts building. And the residences next to it has no control over what houses, the value of them, or anything like that. We cannot put stipulations on it. So that's the facts. I'd like to see this tabled. I'd like to see us take a look at it and have a couple of working meetings and make some recommendations to come back, how, if we got to modify things, if we got to make something different, and see how we can make it better. So that's my recommendation as a substitute motion, and that's it.
I have a substitute motion by Councilman Kent Shakespeare.
Second.
I have a second by, let's see, Councilman Dennis Cullen. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Todd Lambert, please.
Yes, Kent, you keep talking about a tool, but, I don't know if this is a tool that is a good thing for the parish, because ever since we had PUDs brought to us, it's been a hardship on every case that is brought to this council. And we're looking at lot sizes. I think the planning staff has recommended that 50% be 50-foot lots. We just approved one with 80% 50-foot lots. And the developers, when we was brought here with a PUD in front of us 4 years ago, I think one of the contractors mentioned, yes, we approved it. It was brought to us completely different from what a PUD is being built today. It was a planned unit development where you had a little bit commercial, you had different things. Now it's just 80% 50-foot lots, high density area. And that's what, it's a loophole. We probably 6 years ago took 0 lot lines out of the medium density area and put it in some high density areas. But, I just, if it's done right, but it's just not, and I really don't believe our traditional subdivisions. Yeah, we need to make some changes. Well, we got a great planning staff guys. We got a planning commission that's willing to work and make the changes. We just need to make them and approve them and follow them. In the past, maybe we haven't. But, you put the high density, you put 1,000 people in one area, you got to build a new school. And that's what's going to take place. Mr. Nickens can probably vouch for that. Once one area puts 1,000 homes in there, you already filled the schools up in that area. So, and the infrastructure, we all know it, and Mr. Lambert hit it on the head that it's going to be a while before we can catch up. And I'm definitely not for these PUDs and spuds, and I think we need to all think about it hard before we make that final vote.
You through, Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. Councilman Valentine.
I had an old screwdriver in my toolbox one time, and I cut myself on. I threw it away. Because it wasn't useful. I'm not saying that PUDs are not useful, but in the context that we have them in this parish, they're not useful. We've had regular subdivisions. Ms. Shakespeare is right. Reason we got a lot of traffic and why we got a lot of people in this parish is because of our just normal growth, regular subdivisions. But you know, we put in regular subdivisions and we made them put in turn lanes. They wanted that subdivision, they had to put a turn lane in. And there's no reason we can't strengthen our subdivision regulations and rules at the present time. We've been arguing about this and discussing this and having public meetings for over a year. And you know what? We ain't even strengthened our regulations. We keep debating over whether we keep PUDs or we get rid of PUDs. And I think it's time for us to get rid of them. And I think it's time for this council to step up and vote on it. Because I think the substitute motion is a cop-out. And we need to vote on it. Vote it up or down. The majority rules, that's what it's about. If the majority of the council members want to keep PUDs, it'll show up tonight. The majority don't want to keep them, it'll show up. Because it's going to show up 6 months from now after we talk about it for another 6 months. Or after the election, 1 or 2. So, you know, take it, or have your choice. Thank you.
One more quick question.
Okay, Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, one thing that I did forget, you know, we got one coming in front of us tonight that was approved in '07, and it's coming back tonight with a bunch of changes. So at any time, they can come back and make changes in a PUD. We're approving one tonight that's on this agenda that was approved originally in '07. Here we are, 2011, and it's coming back to us with quite a few changes. Planning Commission will approve a PUD. It comes to the council can cut it up and then approve it, and it's a done deal. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with the PUD so I think we need to abolish the PUD and let's strengthen our traditional regulations on subdivisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Councilman Benny Johnson.
I agree a lot with what was said here tonight by everyone, but the concern that I have with doing away with this ordinances or these ordinances tonight is that we haven't strengthened our subdivision ordinances yet. It was, both sides have said it was about a tool, and you can use that analogy, and I agree with it. You know, the tool may be wore out, but do you throw it out before you replace it? And that's my concern with it. No, they're not perfect. Can we fix them? I think we can. You can increase the lot sizes, you can lower the density. One of the steps that the strategic planning committee proposed earlier was to limit the number of houses inside of a PUD or a SPUD to what the property was originally zoned to house. If it was 75 houses, you limit it to 75 lots, and that's all they can have. Yes, you can make changes to those things. You can have them bring their development agreement to planning and zoning ahead of time before anything's done with it. There's a lot of things that we can do to make these things better. If it doesn't work in other areas, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to work here. There's things that may not work in other areas that will. There's things that may work in other areas that won't work here. What we should do with those concepts, whatever they mean, whether it be PUDs or SPUDs or any other concept that's there, is look at it with the ingenuity and the diversity of the people that we have within our parish, is adapt those things to meet our needs. But if we don't look at history and we don't learn from it, we're doomed to repeat it. For the last 25 years, those typical subdivisions that have been coming in here, or what's the problem, not necessarily what's the problem, but what have been creating the problems. And so if we do this without addressing that issue, we're not solving any problems. We're going back to what we've been doing for the last 20, 25 years, and from what I'm hearing, I don't think that's acceptable to anybody. So that's why I'm not going to support to throw these ordinances out. I think we need to go back and look at them and see if we can make changes to them. If we can't, let's make changes to the subdivision ordinances as they are, strengthen them up, protect the people of the parish, and then get rid of these PUDs and SPUD ordinances. And that's what I'm looking to do.
Any more discussion? Councilman Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't going to say nothing because, I mean, it's an issue that one side of the river have a major problem with. I wish I could get a PUD, a subdivision, a HUD on my side of the river. And it put me in a situation where, you know, I understand the concern of the people, but on the other hand, I have to make a decision that's best for my constituents that I see for the future. And, you know, we look at these meetings and we say affordable housing. Whoa! Affordable housing. We don't want that. That's
taboo. But I live in that world. That's my world, affordable housing. Affordable housing falls into PUD. I know, you know, decisions have to be made. And I would rather go back and look at this thing a different way now, because I see how it impacts this whole parish. I mean, we're gonna have to give and take something here. And I hope we can take this, which I don't normally agree with, my councilman, and take it back and let's look at it. Because yes, you know, we never want to go back to that west side, east side. We don't like that. But reality is, if there's an ordinance passed, do I have an ordinance to get me affordable housing program where I can put a 50-foot lot that my house is going to be $100,000 to $150,000 subdivision? My district is done. You know, do you have a plan for that? That's where I'm at on this decision. So, you know, I have to go back, let's go back to the drawing board, come up with some solution on the PUD. I wish we'd go back with the amendment of the motion and go back to the drawing board and come back with some better answers.
Councilman Lohr?
I think the logic explained by Councilman Johnson was very sound. There are good subdivisions, there are bad subdivisions, there are good PUDs, there are bad PUDs. I mean, as the statistics have proved, everyone's issue, of course, is with the lack of infrastructure, with the growth that came over the last decade. But the growth, again, was around traditional subdivisions. And if we do not fix our subdivision ordinances, which are atrocious, if we don't fix those, then, and we repeal the PUD ordinance tonight, then there's no guarantee that we have those subdivision ordinances fixed first. And so we will be ensuring the very same frustrations that we're all experiencing and that we all agree with. So I think there would be I would feel very differently, and if we had those subdivision ordinances tackled first. Let's fix those, let's get those up to where they need to be, so that we at least have a rusty screwdriver is better than no screwdriver when you're desperate for some kind of tool for infrastructure. So let's fix those first, then let's get these, then we can tackle the PUD ordinances and, you know, get this to where it needs to be.
Any more discussion? Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, could I get Mr. Ricky Compton to come to the mic? Rick, I got a question for you, I guess. With a PUD compared to a traditional subdivision, what is the advantages on our major highways, not internally in the subdivision? What are they doing with a PUD to improve state highway or parish highway, other than the turn lane coming in and out of the subdivision? I keep hearing that the PUDs are going to help with the infrastructure. Explain to me how it's going to help with the infrastructure. I guess it's a question.
I think the thing that's being missed here is the fact that you guys have to approve a PUD. You don't. If a development comes before you and you don't like it, if it's in the wrong place, if they're not doing enough, you clearly don't have to approve it. The statement that Representative Lambert made that this is going to somehow affect our growth rate, it's going to have zero effect on the growth rate. It's going to have an effect on your growth pattern. Do you want to change the pattern of growth, or do you want to keep the same pattern? To answer your question, you would have to amend your traffic impact policy in such a way that you can require a development to make improvements or to spend infrastructure dollars in those locations, and then you can tie that agreement into your development agreement. Right now, a typical subdivision, you don't have a mechanism to do that, and you have a little bit more teeth because it's a zoning change that if you guys say that you want them to put up more dollars because of the impact on State Road X or Y, You can force that issue. You can make that a condition of approval. That's the advantage.
But every PUD that has come to us yet, I haven't seen anything that was asked of a developer, which probably should have come from planning and zoning and from your staff, to improve the major roads.
There hasn't been a PUD
probably
approved.
7. We approved about several of them, but there ain't too many of them being built. There's a couple of them being canceled, bypassed. I guess,
The parish typically isn't in the business of requiring dollars for improvements on state highways.
What about parish roads?
Correct.
That mechanism could change if you guys get into some kind of agreement with DOTD. Since I've been here, we haven't approved a new PUD, and so the recommendations we have been made are amendments to PUDs that we believe have improved the quality of the growth pattern. And whether you agree with it or not, that's up to your decision. You guys get to decide if you want to approve it or not. We're just making recommendations to you guys based on our professional opinion.
So basically, no highways have been approved with the PUD.
I don't have that data. I know Keystone's paid a lot of money for intersection improvements. Once again, I wasn't here. That was before me when they were approved as a subdivision, but we didn't require additional improvements. I know Bullion's putting up dollars for airline.
Thank you, Rick. So my question then, and my point is that I don't see a big improvement with the PUD or traditional subdivision for improving our parish roads or state highways. And basically, with more density, you can put more at that point that subdivision is being built. Bottom line. It's just general logic,
Okay. Councilman Clark?
Yeah, Ricky, I agree with you that we can't, I don't think we're gonna be able to make somebody 4-lane a highway in front of a PUD for 5 miles or 3 miles in each direction, whatever it may extent. But, I mean, we've been fighting this and fighting this, all right? I think we basically had an impasse as far as getting any new PUDs coming in. We're sitting here, we've ate up a lot of good time, and people speaking. I just believe that if we do away with it, we can bring it back. If we see some others. I do challenge this, and I'm serious. I challenge the Planning and Zoning Commission members that are appointed, okay, that we can go back and work up and look at that stuff, okay? All right? I'm not real pleased with the past 6 months of the work that went into the master plan, and it was just thrown away. I think that they could have worked to try to just, they were getting it, they could have gutted it, done what they want with it, and brought it to us. I can assure you of this right now, and I told the people of my district, the time when that master plan went and it was finished with the meetings, that there was probably not one council member that agreed with everything on it, okay? The attempts of what we're seeing right now is a fallout from the master plan, all right? And the master plan, just basic total disagreement between people. The master plan was hard to understand for a lot of folks. The PUDs, now that it's being developed and coming back, like you said, they all came in before you got here, okay? So now we're looking at agreements. So it's just hard for people to comprehend sometimes. I do appreciate, Parish President, you remarked several months ago, working on a master transportation plan. We definitely need that. I agree with Senator Lambert and everybody that the state is the parish 20 years behind. I think when we went to convention, they threw a number out there of the billions of dollars it would take to fix the infrastructure in Louisiana. Was unreal. Probably never see it in my lifetime. But tonight, I don't have a problem with doing away with this right now. But I do challenge the Planning and Zoning Commission that they have the work in front of them, that you come out of your subcommittee, and I will ask you that. I'm a little over 3 years on this council, okay? Up until probably 2 months ago,
haven't had really any input from the Planning and Zoning Commission about what they want out of us, okay? And recommendations to fix the subdivision ordinances and everything. So you got it now, let's take a good look at it. Let's fix it. Todd mentioned about the subdivision ordinances. You know, everybody agrees the subdivision ordinance we got to fix. So I'm just telling you, this subject is taking up our time, all right? And it's very important. I never see it as a fight between anybody and myself or this person, that person, or anything. We're going to try to serve the wishes of the public. But in that wishes, we're going to try to educate the public, because I can tell you what, I've been to plenty of places where other parishes, you don't have to go far, that they try to push the developer into a PUD because they basically get almost everything they want out of the developer in a PUD. So apparently we're not doing something right, or we don't have something right, right? I'm telling you, I've talked to developers, engineers, and other parts that say they're being pushed because the PUD ordinance basically details out every bit of amenity that they can, that government can suck out of them, okay? All right? So it's worth a second look later on. But tonight I'll stay with the wishes of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Any more questions or comments? Councilman Johnson?
Question for legal, actually, with this. You pointed out about the bylaws and Robert's rules with the substitute motion. Can we vote on that way, or do we have to vote to accept or deny the recommendation from Planning and Zoning? And then from that point, could we put that at a subcommittee or another committee to look at that? How do we handle that, Ms. Tony?
You can vote on the substitute motion that trumps the main motion.
Always did.
Any more discussion, Councilman?
Let's get one thing.
Councilman Lower.
If we can all agree, and we all do, that no one wants the growth to happen the way that it did before, then if we repeal this tonight without working on those first and without working on the subdivision ordinances, we are ensuring that we have nothing left to do. We cannot get what we need out of developers. So I just would question that logic. We need to work on these, as Councilman Kluwat said. Other parishes are using them effectively. Obviously, we are not, but it's still something that needs to be worked on. I'm not 100% pro PUD. I don't know, we may not even need them if we get our subdivision ordinances fixed, but we've got to be able to have something, and if we do nothing tonight, I mean, if we eliminate this, we are back to square one, and we are, again, ensuring that the same pattern of growth, as Mr. Compton said, will continue and frustrate everybody.
Okay, any more discussion? Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, we keep, stressing about it. I just, I think we need to move on and just let the planning commission take over and bring some stricter restrictions to us, and then let's move forward. The PUDs is, I don't think definitely the way to go, and I think we need to abolish them at this point.
That's it, Todd?
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Any objection?
Let's restate the substitute motion.
Okay, substitute motion, Councilman Shake Snyder, would you state your motion, please?
To take
Cinnamon,
this,
do you have the motion?
yeah,
Say it louder, please. What'd you say? Table and review, okay. Got a substitute motion, have a first, a second. We've been through discussion mode, and now I'm asking any objection.
Yeah, I just got one more question. I got one more comment.
Councilman Valentine, please.
We table and review. When he tables it, it's a dead issue.
That's right.
Okay? You understand that? Review, in other words, the option is to review, to come back with something way down the road, when it is, okay?
Need to give it a direction.
I have one objection. I have two objections.
Three
Question. would this be sending it to strategic planning or a specific committee with some time frame on
You need
it?
to give it a direction, if that's what you...
Give it some kind of direction as where to go. This is not an issue that needs to be decided. It needs to be something that we put to a committee and get some answers on this and get it settled once and for all. I would recommend that the councilman
Okay,
change his motion to move it to strategic planning for discussion.
All right, I will put that as my motion, and that I will send to the chairman a structure of review that we will have, and let you acknowledge that whenever we decide how we'll handle that. So you will have a structure as to time frame is what we'll do.
Okay, sir.
No, still second.
Councilman Valentine, please.
I'm going to have to comment on that now. We already took this up in strategic planning. What came out of strategic planning? We were going to form a subcommittee. This council wouldn't even support it with $28,000 to deal with it. Once again, it's just a ploy to put it off till after the election or whatever to deal with this situation. You either step up to the plate and do away with them, and do it. Now, gentlemen, I'm telling you, Mr. Shakes and I said, we had the problem before it came. You're right, he's right. But PUDS doesn't help it. It doesn't help it. It's already been mentioned. There's developers, Mr. Roy Domain, love you to death, but hey, developers love this. We had a spud here that was in my district that y'all voted along with me to kill tonight. You know the biggest problem with that? The first time I see those guys, tonight. You think any of them came to me and said, I want to do this spud. I'd like to show you this spud. They work with the administration to do that, with the planning and zoning department. That's where it goes. You guys don't have nothing to do with it. You approve a conceptual idea on a PUD, and it's a done deal. All we hear from our attorney is, well, you can't change it. You can't change it. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to sign a contract. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm telling you guys, we got the opportunity to do it now. It's not going to matter whether we got PUDs or not. But right now, the problem is PUDs and SPUDs and TNDs. That's it.
Any objection?
Object.
May a roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilman Kuat,
Object.
Councilman Cullen,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman Lohr,
Yes.
Councilman Kent Shake Snyder,
Yes.
Councilman Adrian Thompson,
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
No.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Substitute motion passes. We'll move to item 12, please. I have speakers for 12. First will be Catherine Goppel.
Gentlemen, you just made a vote, and Kent Shake Schneider didn't recuse himself, and he's working with the developers. Somebody should have said something. Keystone was 900 lots, not 100. Ricky Compton was here. He brokered the deal behind closed doors to get more than 900 votes.
Ma'am.
The statistics given by Mr. Roy Domain were during an economic downturn, gentlemen. Tonight, you're receiving public input. Take the earplugs out of your ears, gentlemen, and you can hear the people. The traditional neighborhood development provides for the mixing of residential types, commercial, civic, and open spaces within a neighborhood to promote pedestrian activity. A TND incorporates relatively narrow, interconnected streets with sidewalks and bicycle paths. It is considered to be a separate zoning district and may depart from the normal procedure standards and other requirements of the other sections of the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. It cannot be less than 50 acres. A TND must have one neighborhood center referred to as a town center or village center. This is the description in our code today on page 3 and 4. The people of this parish rejected this concept during the master plan process last year. 17 asterisks all over the parish were designated as small towns, villages, and hamlets. Page 5. Large office, low-impact manufacturing uses and industrial uses may be located in a special district of the TND. We have situations like this right now, gentlemen, on Babin Road and on Dora Road in Sanama. These businesses are a constant nuisance to the residents. We certainly don't want more of this. TNDs are like their sister PUD. They need to be removed. The people have
Okay,
clearly
thank you, ma'am.
rejected, that
3
was
minutes
2
up.
minutes.
Mr. John
The
Breaux,
people have
please.
clearly
Ma'am.
rejected this tool for
Officer
development.
Denbury, Officer
The
Denbury.
Center for Planning Excellence can take their toolkit back to Baton
Please
Rouge and construct
take
their
her out.
PUDs and TNDs there.
John Breaux, please. Is John Breaux still here? Daniel Satterlee?
Gentlemen, and members of the audience, so that I might understand, the motion that was just voted on and approved was for what?
Ms. Sedman?
Number 11,
Yes.
the table and review and bring to the planning.
Yeah.
To repeal the code ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the clarity. I would like to read a quote from Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. Those that have watched me on APTV probably think that I sleep with this. My wife would tell you that's not so, but it is on my nightstand. Under frequently asked questions, page 119, question 13, can something be defeated by adopting a motion to table it? The answer to this question is simple. This is a common violation of fair procedure. Such a motion is never in order because it would not permit debate to be suppressed by a majority vote, and only a 2/3 vote can do that. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Eddie Lambert, please.
I'm just going to repeat myself. Basically, my thing is we can't keep up with what we have now. When we're talking about, increasing density, we're having trouble now with the highways and things like that, and that's what I want to point out to the council's attention. The surplus money that we've been able to do with some of these roads is gone. In the future, it doesn't look good, and the only thing I ask is that y'all look to make sure that we do not have too much more density than we can handle right now. Thank you.
Mr. Phil Gaucher.
After 11 public meetings related to the proposed master plan last year, it was clear that residents of our parish do not want high density, mainly because we do not have the physical infrastructure to support high density development. I have the rest of this written down, but I'm not going to waste my time going through it. This council, or most of this council, apparently doesn't want to listen to the public anyway. Thank you to you who support the Planning and Zoning Commission. I ask that you please accept the recommendations. Thank you.
Teresa Robert, please.
Public, the police carried Ms. Gulped out. The traditional neighborhood development, or TND, is in the same family as the PUD, high-density neighborhood parks where children must leave the security of their homes to play because this is the only green space, and affordable housing for all stages of life, as Councilman Joseph talked to us earlier about. It's the same concept with a little different title. The TND, just like the PUD, will not be successful in Ascension Parish because we lack the needed infrastructure to support it, just like our state representative, Eddie Lambert, has said here repeatedly tonight. Citizens know that councilmen are going to vote under the guise of studying this issue, just like you did on the PUDs a few minutes ago. We know, citizens know, that the Planning and Zoning Commission did due diligence, had a lot of meetings, a lot of study, and made a fantastic recommendation. I'm really glad that you're showing citizens who you represent, what you believe, and who you serve. You have made my day or my night tonight. I'll see you in October.
Al
Most
Wilbur?
of the citizens are gone, too. They left.
Once again, it doesn't really make sense what Mr. Schexnayder is saying. We've had the 30,000 people growth with the regular subdivisions, so you want to increase the density. Sure, you're going to have more growth because everybody likes what Ascension Parish is. We all love Ascension Parish. You do not have to be everything to everybody. The development that we just talked about, y'all going to vote on tonight, they're going to have 80% 50-foot lots. They're giving back to the parish. Sure, they're putting a turn lane because they have to put a turn lane to do the subdivision. They're charging the school board $1 million for 5 acres of land. That's giving back to the parish a lot. Makes a lot of sense. I'm disappointed in y'all vote. I mean, nobody had the guts like Mr. Valenax to vote up and down. It's really sad. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Charlotte Johnson?
You know what's wrong with government at any level? You say a whole lot and you do nothing. I have been actively involved in this process for almost a year. You're talking about the same things, just like Mr. Valentine and Lambert pointed out, and you're doing nothing. I'm actually amazed, Mr. Schexnayder, that you were able to bring the discussion forward, bring the motion forward, and not be allowed to recuse yourself from the discussion when it comes to PUDs. Since I have been involved over this almost a year, you have had to recuse your vote for almost every PUD that was brought forward. With that recusal, I want to know why there isn't a conflict of interest with that last motion. The Planning and Zoning has unanimously recommended that the TNDs, just like with the PUDs, be accepted. And you ran out Ascension Parish public. You enjoy dialogue with the public so much, you ran them off by not listening to them. Do you think we like to be here at 8:15 at night? I said I was a wife, a mother, and nurse. I would much rather be home being a wife and mother right now because I was all day being a nurse. This is ridiculous. You are not listening to the public. We want the T&Ds abolished, we want the PUDs abolished, and you're not doing anything. You cannot support. The developers are the only people who are for it. This administration, this planning and zoning staffing, and members of this council are not supporting what the people want. I said in those early public meetings when we were talking about the master plan, when I just got involved, I said when it came to election, I would be your worst nightmare. I was not joking. The people tonight will know exactly how you are voting. It will be represented in District 2, how you are serving Kent Schexnayder and not our district.
Tim Terrio. Okay, Roy Domain, please.
I know there's frequent assertions that developers really like PUDs and SPUDs and all this good stuff. What it really likes is good policy and procedure. I say that there are some very good things that are in that toolbox that needs to be brought out. We're not there with it. Recently, the public, the private, and the citizens got together, the government, and said, let's review where we are with master plan. Let's put some thoughts together. And I think the move that we really need to do, I mean, we couldn't get that quite out of P&Z in time before this came here tonight, but I really think it's time that we, from the industry, along with the government, along with the public, work hand in hand and get a product that is going to be acceptable, it's going to work. As they said, PUDs are in other parishes, East Baton Rouge, Livingston right now. Embrace them, they're working, they're rolling with them, okay? Because there's that dialogue that makes it happen. So I appreciate where we are with this, wanting it to go back to strategic planning. I think it's a good idea. Let's put our heads together. We can come up with something that can work, and we can get this parish to grow in the right direction with transportation, with water, with sewer, with good for the citizens of all. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Mr. Billy Aguilar.
Thank you again, Chairman, for allowing me to speak. Yes, I am a developer in Ascension Parish. I've been a business owner in Ascension Parish for over 20 years. My family lives in Ascension Parish. I spend most of my time here in Ascension Parish. I have developed 3 traditional neighborhoods in Ascension Parish, and I was never asked to give one concession. Will I ever do a PUD, TND, SPUD? Probably not. Will I ever do a crossroad development commercial deal? Probably not. Don't intend to. Do we need to make some changes? Yes, I think we do. But I could go out and build a 200-lot subdivision right now if the property's on residential. I don't have to give you any concessions whatsoever. Is it working in other parishes? Yes. East Baton Rouge Parish, Livingston Parish, their arms are wide open. Please come to our parish and develop. We need you. We need economic development. I have done a job in Ascension Parish in over 3 years. I'm working in other parishes because there's nothing to do here. I have 2 subdivisions going on now, heading sold with 1 lot a month for the last year in both of them. There's nothing going on in this parish now. We need things like this to help with economic development. Do we need to control growth? Yes. I was on the past strategic planning committee. I participated, went to every meeting. I'll volunteer to be on it again. I volunteered to rewrite the subdivision construction ordinances that need to be revised now. Does it make it easier on me? No. I've put in things in it that needed to make it harder, to make our roads better, to make the drainage better. Ascension Parish has the best drainage ordinance out of any surrounding parishes around here. My son's a civil engineer, and the only place that he does drainage work in is in Ascension because of the drainage ordinance. When it says zero impact for a new subdivision development or any kind of development, that's what it means, zero impact. A lot of people don't understand what zero impact means, but it means you can't put any more water out in the ditches than exists now when the property was undeveloped. And it's a tough ordinance. You can go to Baton Rouge right now, I can go build a 300-lot subdivision in Baton Rouge. I don't even have to do a drainage study. I can go do it. This parish has the knowledge and the wisdom to require that of developers to minimize flooding. As far as roads, most of the roads in this parish are state roads. It's all by DOTD. DOT funding is based on population. That's why East Baton Rouge Parish is getting all the
Okay,
highway
Billy,
funds.
Mr. Aguilar, time's up.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Okay, Mr. Ricky Compton, please.
Proposed ordinance to repeal the traditional neighborhood development ordinance, Appendix 7 of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code. The Zoning Commission recommends approval of this ordinance. To accept or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission.
Move to accept the zoning commission's recommendation to repeal.
I have a motion by Councilman Valentine to accept the recommendation of the zoning commission, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Do I have any discussion? Councilman Benny Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a substitute motion to move that item also to strategic planning for further review.
Second.
I have a substitute motion by Councilman Benny Johnson to move this item, T&D ordinance to strategic planning. I have a second by Councilman Chris Lohr. Any discussion? Any objection?
I object.
Discussion? Objection. My roll call, please.
Councilman Kuak,
Object.
Councilman Cullen,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert,
No.
Councilman Lohr,
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder,
Yes.
Councilman Thompson,
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
No.
Okay, ma'am. The substitute motion, TND ordinance, substitute TND ordinance, motion passes.
One comment?
Yes, sir. Councilman Lambert.
One thing that I would like to state, and I keep hearing lower income homes with the 50-foot lots, but, if we're gonna ask the developers to come up with a lot of exceptions, roads, sidewalks and stuff, that's gonna make that lot increase, and they could probably all say yes to that. And guess who's gonna get that carried to, who it's gonna go to? The homeowner. So this $150,000 lot and house is gonna be moved up to 175, 180, which is not really a lower income home. So I just want to bring that out, that with all the things that you're asking the developer to do, the developer is not gonna eat that cost. He can't. He's gonna have to pass that on to whoever buys that home in there. So that lower income home is gonna be increased exceptional, quite a few, big percentage, That's all.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes, I agree with Councilman Lambert on that, because I've been hearing this, building low-income homes and government homes, and we don't want certain people to move into our subdivision. I got enough of that. People are people. We serve people. And when somebody called me would tell me that we're building a bunch of government homes, that's not so. The parish is not in the building of building homes. We do approve subdivision, and we're not building any government homes. We approve subdivisions, and I'm sick and tired of hearing we're building low-income homes. Because where I live at, I got a few people I don't want to live around either, but we're not building government homes.
Okay, is there anyone else? The ordinance has passed, substitute ordinance. Item 13, please. I do have some speakers. Mr. Daniel Satterley, please.
Gentlemen, I didn't bring my book this time. It's clear from the last two items, 11 and 12, that when a motion is introduced to this austere body, substantive motion or motion to table, which I indicated clearly from Robert's Rules of Order to be out of order, goes down anyway. So now my question changes to this. As a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I look at my job as a pie. Planning and zoning, this issue being under the area of zoning per se. I would like all the councilmen who voted for the substitute motion to please email me during the week and let me know what parts of the pie of the duties and responsibilities that you delegated to our commission would you like to cut out, so that it doesn't waste my and my fellow commissioners, remember it was a unanimous vote, gentlemen, doesn't waste our time. Okay, again, ask all the councilmen who voted on both of these last two items, and I assume it's going to happen again here on item 13. Email me during the week. Let me know what parts of the pie would you like me to cut out that you plan to send to strategic planning or any other standing committee or special committee you so desire to create in order to prevent me from wasting my time. Thank you.
Charlotte Johnson, please.
I just want to respectfully say, Mr. Thompson, that I object to the fact that you're making this about a have or have not. The PUDs, T&Ds, and the tables for the zoning with the density have nothing to do with haves and have-nots. In the middle discussion when we were back in August and September about the public meetings around the new revised master plan had to do with about federal grants that had links and ties to special dollars for high-density, low-income housing. That is not what these ordinances are about, and I respectfully object to that statement about haves or have-nots. Again, we continually come forward. We support what planning and zoning, unlike you all who are elected and paid. The planning and zoning volunteered their time. They have been diligent since all the outcry from the public meetings, have been diligent about doing the work of the Ascension Parish and the people. I applaud you, Mr. Satterley, he's gone, oh, there he is, and Mr. Kluwat for doing your work so well, and for all those planning and zoning commissioners who are not here tonight, but I know that are watching and look at the outcome. We thank you because at least you listened to what was going on and paid attention and respecting the fact of our infrastructure and the needs there. I do want to say, too, that the public, I don't know what else you want from the planning and zoning, from the public. Everything we bring forward, you don't listen to. I'm still concerned at the fact that what is it that you do for Ascension Parish and concerning these things? We want you to accept the motions of the planning and zoning. They have done their work. It makes sense. The only people who are happy who have interest in development and developers.
Al Robert?
I think Tommy wants to table this. Tommy never admits to what he's doing, but he's behind this whole thing. So y'all not voting for the
Sir,
people.
stay on the agenda, and we don't have any
Y'all
personal...
not voting for the people. Y'all are voting for whatever you're voting for. I don't understand it. I mean, listen to the people. When have you ever seen people come out to speak for items that they've spoken to over the last year? Name me one instance. It never happens. I want to see some integrity on this board. I see two people with some integrity. Maybe three, maybe four. Thank you.
Phil Gaucher, please. Teresa Robert?
There are three major changes being recommended in this particular agenda item by the Zoning Commission. Number one, removing residential from crossroad commercial. By definition, Appendix 2 of the Development Code on page 16 says, quote, "This district serves the commercial needs of the outlying residents in the parish. The purpose of the district is to disperse commerce, development opportunities throughout the parish while minimizing the adverse impact on traffic flows," unquote. How residential development of up to 20 units per acre got into the crossroad commercial is not known, but by definition, residential does not belong in commercial. In last year's master plan process, high-density residential development was proposed at many of our crossroads commercial locations, especially in the Sonoma area where infrastructure is inadequate. Those who presently have homes in this zone will continue to be grandfathered in, but future residential development of up to 20 multi-family units per acre would not be allowed. Keep crossroads commercial for commercial development. Second, this change decreases the units per acre of residential development in mixed use 1 from 20 to 10. 20 units per acre is simply too high for the infrastructure we now have. Reducing permitted residential development along Airline north of Sorrento at the parish line, Highway 44 at Airline, and Highway 73 near I-10 are the main areas of mixed use that would be affected by this change. 3, removal of zero lot lines for residential development from mixed use 1. Residential development will still be allowed of up to 8 single-family dwellings per acre, 10 duplexes and townhomes, mobile home parks, and multifamily dwellings. Mixed use 2 residential density remains the same. These are the recommendations unanimously from the Zoning Commission to you. A vote to accept the recommendation moves the item to become an ordinance with the notice of a public hearing. A vote to deny the recommendation means that you support high density in these areas. And just like the PUDs and the T&Ds, a vote to send it to strategic planning is also a vote to keep it until after the election. Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, Parish President Martinez, who was part of this, we were told.
Representative Eddie Lambert? Okay. Billy Aguilar?
Thank you again, Councilman, for allowing me to speak. Item 13, residential crossroads commercial, and the 20 to 10 residential units or mixed-use units in a mixed-use zoning designation, and the zero lot line of mixed-use zoning. These are some things that, again, they need to be addressed in a comprehensive review of the subdivision ordinances as they are now. I don't think just throwing them out is the answer. again, I thank you for all the things that you've done here tonight. I'll be the first one to volunteer to be on any committee to review any of this stuff. Be more than happy to talk to anybody, give you my ideas as what I think, whether it's worth anything or not. But again, thank you, gentlemen, and I ask you that you table this motion also and look at it in a comprehensive review of the subdivision ordinances. Thank you.
Roy Domingue.
As we look to try to hammer out the details of what is proper at Crossroads and stuff, again, we need that plan. When I run my business, when I'm going to build a residence for a customer, they're wanting to see what's ahead. And what we need here is to see what's ahead. And my request is that I'm not sure of the exact system, but will we take it from strategic planning? Can we have just a great outline? Because we understand there's so many factors that need to go into this thing, so that we can develop a plan that's going to work, that's going to be favorable, that everybody, when they come to the table, you know going in. Mr. Billy made the comment that he hasn't done anything in the parish in 3 years as a developer. That's a negative. It's not that we didn't have area that could be developed. It's the fact that there's a lot of confusion and conflict within ordinances. And so right now, there's a lot of things going on where planning and zoning through some subcommittees is trying to work to hammer out some details. There was a master plan group that was put together from 3 different sectors that was going to say, all right, let's try to hammer out what the master planning is. And I think that we're kind of frayed, if you will. And I submit that under a real good outline with a real good plan, that we can harness the effort and the talent and the energy that's in this parish, and we can come forth and we can see something that's positive. And so that would be the direction and the request that I would respectfully ask for. Thank you.
Mr. Ricky Compton, please.
Proposed ordinance to amend tables Appendix 1 of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code to include removal of all residential from Crossroads Commercial, to decrease the units per acre from 20 to 10 in mixed-use zoning designation, and to remove 0 lot lines from mixed-use zoning designation. Zoning Commission recommends approval of this ordinance. To accept or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission.
Motion to approve recommendation.
Motion to approve the recommendation of zoning commission by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman George Valentine. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yeah, Ricky, could, I guess we still have some commission members here. I kind of watched this, I caught this on TV whenever that meeting. I had some concerns based on, I think they had one member that had some concerns, and I don't remember it being answered on the Crossroads commercial, as far as the residential. I guess I'm always worried about people's land rights and people's rights, being infringed upon their land. And does this affect a person that is in a Crossroads commercial jurisdiction from building a house?
Yes, sir. I mean, that.
Does it effectively say no?
Yes, sir. If someone came to our office to pull a permit and we checked their zoning, they could not build a house if their property was zoned Crossroads Commercial.
They would have to be zoned Crossroads Commercial as we zoned it within the zoning map,
Yes, sir.
not just within the limitations of the Crossroads Commercial.
Right. Their parcel would be zoned Crossroads Commercial, and we would deny the permit.
And so they would not be allowed to build a home.
Correct. They would not be allowed
Even
to
if they've
family
been there 100
petition.
years. That's right.
Unless they petition to rezone their property.
That's what I'm
to
saying. They'd have to go in
residential,
front.
medium, or
Front
rural,
of-
or conservation.
I just want to point something out to everyone. It's been brought up before, I think in planning and zoning, but I'm not sure. There was a lot of lawsuits that came after Hurricane Katrina in St. Bernard about fair housing and things like that. I understand everyone wants to protect their lands, and I understand nobody wants low-income housing right next to them. I mean, that's what we keep hearing, that everyone wants to protect their land and their rights, but as a parish as a whole, you can't just exclude low-income housing, HUD, things like that. And I'm not pointing anyone out. I'm just saying, not y'all. I keep hearing this from public, and everyone wants to keep high-density lots and everything. And I just want everyone to err on the side of caution, that there was a lot of lawsuits where they passed ordinances that kind of discriminated against low-income housing, and the federal court came down and said, this is housing for firemen, this is housing for teachers, this is housing for salesmen. You need to be careful on what you do and don't pass. So you just need to be careful not to totally exclude residential from certain areas if you're not going to provide other ways for them to get housing. And I just wanted to point that out to everyone.
And I guess my point, based on this particular thing that's in front of us right now, is the question about, you know, if somebody's within that zoning, you know, most of the area I represent is rural, so basically, the only thing we got is Crossroads Commercial, all right, pretty much going. That if there's someone within that area of that Crossroads Commercial that they wanted to build a house, and they could have been there for 100 years, all right, that they'd have to go in front and petition for that.
They would have to rezone their property.
They'd petition to rezone.
Yes, sir, to the zoning commission, and then it would come before you
Sure.
guys. And then after 3 or 4 months, they'd be allowed to pull the permit to build their house, if their property was rezoned.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't remember it. I couldn't remember it being answered real well then. And so that's just one of the points of that. And while legal's talking about low-income housing, I just want to voice my opinion is basically, I don't have a problem with people backing one way or the other, but I can tell you what, I brought it before several months back. I think the parish president brought it up and several people. Somebody's out there lying to people, okay? If you don't like the council, if you don't like the zoning commission, if you don't like somebody, if you don't like a law, well, stand up and do what everybody does and advocate for it. I'm all for that. But don't go lie to people about a bunch of low-income housing and misuse the word HUD or PUD or SPUD or anything else, or misrepresent what is being done. So this might be my last chance to speak tonight, so I just want to let everybody know that's still going on. I personally don't appreciate it. I don't think the people of the district that I represent appreciate it, okay? Let's tell the truth, and let's stand up for what you believe in, but let's tell the truth. Let's don't pass any rumors. But anyway, about the land rights, I would hope that, should that happen, that somebody would be able to build them a home if they choose to within that area. I think it's close to infringing upon the rights.
Councilman Lower?
This is one, I know this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people, but this is one that I actually think has a lot of merit. I think if it's Crossroads Commercial, then we shouldn't be building homes there. That's what is in the best interest of the community, with the, you know, what's been decided by various commissions, what have you. So I think this one's actually worthwhile. I'm a little concerned what I heard the Planning and Zoning Commission about the Commissioner Dalton actually brought up about a similar parish, and I think, Tony, that's what you were referencing, was sued for doing this.
Yeah.
And they had to pay 153 or 143 million, I think, in attorney's fees and other things for their blatant disregard.
So that, okay, that obviously gives me pause, but I think I'd like to study a way to make this happen, you know, while making sure, you know, covering our bases and don't get sued. But I think the intent of this is a good intent, and I think this is something we need to pursue as part of the overall comprehensive review of our subdivision ordinances. I'll offer that as a motion that we just move this to strategic planning and cover this there. I'd like to see this move forward. Substitute motion.
I have a substitute motion by Councilman Chris Lower.
I'll second
Move
that.
this forward, and I have a second by Councilman Benny Johnson. In discussion.
Pat.
Yes.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Valentine.
You know, this is a healthy discussion, gentlemen. We all have our opinion, but we keep moving everything to strategic planning, which I'm a member of.
Yeah.
And we taking the responsibility of the planning and zoning away from them. That's what they own that for. And so here we are, we're gonna strap ourselves, they volunteer. We walk door to door to beg for this job, which is pretty stupid. But, here we are, we're gonna take on the responsibility now of doing all this information. I'll be glad to relinquish my seat so that somebody on the other side can sure take my place on the committee to help form it. Because I tell you what, it's gonna be futile. It really is. That's what you have a planning and zoning committee for. We put those people on that planning and zoning. Now, some of you may not like who's on there, but that's not my problem. When they come up for reappointment, don't appoint them. That's it.
Any more discussion? Councilman Benny Johnson.
I agree with what Mr. Valentine said. My only concern with it is I understand, Ms. Lindsay pointed out, that at the Planning and Zoning Committee, they were made aware of the issue with the lawsuits, and instead of addressing that, they sent that forward to us anyway. They had the opportunity to correct what they had there, and I agree it's a lot of work for us to do, but it's something that we need to move forward with to make sure. My concern is about the liability. I agree with what Councilman Lohr said. This is something I think we can do, but we can't do it at the risk of putting ourselves out there for a lawsuit because of something like this. If it's something as simple as taking the designation from Crossroads Commercial and sticking it into another zoning category, that would get us out of it. It may be something as an easy fix as that, and I would ask Mr. Compton to research that and have us an answer for whenever we do take this up at strategic planning, which hopefully will be pretty quickly, and we can resolve this issue and get it back here for a vote to make sure that we go ahead and reduce these densities and make sure that we are doing the right thing as far as this type of designation is concerned.
Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? Councilman Shakespeare.
Real quick, this is also something I pretty much agree with, and I think that we can modify Crossroads Commercial to bring it up to its intent for a true Crossroads Commercial. Then we can move forward with this, and so I think with very little work, we can get a consensus with this body and move forward and get this done as quickly as possible.
Okay, sir. Councilman Clark?
Yeah, I just want to clarify my position is I don't have a problem with what was brought to us, okay? I think there was a question asked then, and that's why I was asking the question now, because of, I would hope that should this become law, that some citizen out there that's been living on a piece of land that's within that Crossroads commercial area for all their life, I think right now we got a couple of them across from the Santa Monica High School, that should they want to build a house and they petition any commission and it finally comes to this council, that we don't take their rights away. That's the main thing there. I don't advocate for people to build a house in a Crossroads commercial. You might get run over, you know what I mean? But it is their right.
Question.
Any more discussion? Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Ms. Tony, we're not saying that, I guess the way where it's brought to us today, you saying it could be a lawsuit?
No, I'm just saying, you can't completely.
Because they can, like Ricky said, they can come to us and you get a variance or get a rezoning to build that house there, so.
No, I was just warning y'all to be careful against trying to,
Tell them they
when
can't,
you deal
yeah.
with residential, you're gonna have to keep some low income or some aspects where someone can come into this parish. You can't completely push everybody out. And I just wanted to make everyone aware of what happened.
But this is not residential.
No,
This
this
is
is
Crossroad Commercial. It's not residential.
Right, you're pushing residential out,
Yeah.
which is fine if that's what you decide to do. You just have to make sure there's other avenues for everyone to come into this parish.
Exactly.
And I was just making.
So it
everyone
really
aware.
doesn't, it's not a legal issue about voting one way or another on
No.
this.
Not at all today.
Correct,
I just
not
wanted
today.
to make everyone aware
I wanted
before we got
okay.
into more.
Okay, thank you.
Ricky?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, the information that was given to us was that St. Bernard's Parish did this very thing. They removed the ability to develop multifamily housing from their zoning categories, thereby reducing the available land to build multifamily housing. The opinion of our legal counsel was, put it in another zoning category where you feel it makes sense. Don't just pull it out and reduce the availability of land. The commission used the 39-page master plan that they were working on a draft for the justification to make Crossroads commercial, to make it a commercial category. And when I read medium-intensity residential, it says this district is designated for residential development, including multifamily dwellings. My suggestion was put it in residential medium. That's what the master plan says. It's a simple fix, but at this point in time, they weren't prepared to do that. And so if this gets pushed to strategic planning, then we need to have a serious discussion of what does multifamily housing look like if 1/3 of our parish has now the availability to build up to 10 units per acre? Because that's a significant impact.
Exactly.
But that's what your master plan says. And if we're going to follow it, let's follow it.
Any more discussion?
Thank you, Ricky.
Thanks, Rick. More discussion? Any objection? Roll call, Ms. Cinnamon.
Let's restate our motion. What's the motion that's in front of us?
Move this to strategic planning.
Councilman Kuhar.
I object.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman Lohr.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Adrian Thompson.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
No.
The ordinance, substitute ordinance passes. We'll move into our introduction of ordinance section, item 15. Ms. Tony?
This is an ordinance to acquire a parcel of immovable property from St. Mark Roman Catholic Church for the purpose of construction road improvements in the amount of $93,415.
Motion introduced.
Have a motion to introduce. Any objection? Who gave the motion? I'm sorry. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. No objections. Ordinance is introduced. Tony? We'll move into our public hearing section. Item 16, please.
This ordinance amends the Bouillon Crossing Plan Unit Development reflecting a major use change to the site plan revision Phase 1, 2, and 3. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local governmental subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution of 1974. And whereas Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within this jurisdiction. And whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And whereas the Plan Unit Development Regulations was created by ordinance on December 1st, 2005. Whereas the conceptual plan for Bouillon Crossing was first approved on September 12, 2007, and the final development plan in December 2007. Construction plans for this approval were submitted on June 19, 2008 for an 84.21 acre site, including 98 single-family attached units, 38%, 130 single-family detached units, 51%, and 9.2 acres of light commercial, 11%. The residential area was 37% open space, 31.4 acres, with typical lot size for the single-family attached houses being 2,300 square feet, and the typical lot size for the single-family detached house being 8,200 square feet. The plan proposed 3 phases, including the single-family attached housing, the single-family detached housing, and the commercial area. Whereas the concept plan and the development plan were revised on February 28, 2008 to correct the limits of the plan, change the phasing of the project, and decrease the area to 83.8 acres. Whereas the applicant is requesting a major use change, the revision encompasses 84.61 acres of land, an increase of 0.81 acres. This plan eliminates all commercial and attached single-family housing, decreasing single-family residential to 216 units. This will decrease housing density to 2.55 units per acre, originally 3 units per acre. In addition, open space has decreased to 25% of the site. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Bouillon Crossing Plan Unit Development, reflecting a major use change to the site plan revision Phase 1, 2, and 3, is amended with the revision to encompass 84.61 acres of land, eliminating all commercial and attached single-family housing, decreasing single-family residential to 216 units. This will decrease housing density to 2.55 units per acre. In addition, open space is decreased to 25%. Now therefore be it further ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that all outstanding issues with the Bouillon Crossing project have been resolved and the Bouillon Crossing project is to move forward.
Need a motion to open public hearing, please.
Motion.
A motion by Councilman George Valentine, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson. I do have one speaker, Mr. A.J. Nickens, please.
I really don't know why I'm speaking, because I've sat here and I've watched the pattern of the vote tonight, and I know my speaking is in vain, but I'm going to say anyway, y'all passed a motion to send this back to the Planning Commission. Okay, a couple of meetings later, you made another motion to deny the Planning Commission's ruling, but you never did reverse the first meeting you made. You've got two motions on the table. One's to send it back to the Planning Commission, and the other one was to deny it. And the school board the other night voted to buy that section of land, but that was 12 acres with 5.5 acres is wetlands, and in flood zone that we cannot use, for $975,000. That averages $150,000 an acre for usable land. We have never, since I've been on the board in 34 years, bought 6 acres of land and put a school on. But I'm asking you tonight to basically to clarify, you had a motion to send it back to the Planning Commission, and you ignored that one, and then you came up with another one. Thank you.
Jared Barringer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Bouillon Crossing, we heard a lot tonight what PUDs don't do for us. I'd like to tell y'all a couple things this PUD is going to do for us. If y'all allow the major use change for a school, we're going to get rid of 98 20-foot lots. We talk about 50s, we're getting rid of 98 20-foot townhome lots. We're getting rid of 150,000 square foot of commercial, which we had 200 apartment units planned. Y'all talking about discussed of apartment buildings. We're getting rid of 200 apartment buildings in this 150,000 square foot. Y'all wanted us to work with DOTD, get some things worked out. We worked with DOTD. DOTD came up with a regional approach on the airline corridor. They call it a J-turn. By having this PUD, DOTD said we'll approve the J-turn, but the developer's going to pay for the engineering. The state doesn't have to pay for the engineering, the parish doesn't have to pay for it. Several $100,000 is going to be taken care of by the developer. This J-turn, the DOTD says this J-turn will decrease the drive time through this corridor by 6 minutes. I can't think of any other situation or any other way we decrease drive times in this parish by 6 minutes. I guess that's about it, guys. Thank y'all. Oh, 50-foot lots. I said 80% are 50 foot. In the PUD that y'all have approved, if y'all don't allow the school, we can build 100% 50-foot lots. So we actually decreased 50-foot lots by 20%. Thank you.
Is Tim Terrio still here? Okay, I'll need a motion to close public hearing, please. A motion by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Kluart. I'll need a motion to move the ordinance, approve the ordinance. A motion by Councilman Dennis Collins, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson. Any objection?
I object.
One objection. Roll call. Roll call, please.
Councilman Kluart.
For.
Councilman
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman Lohr.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
I recuse myself.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, ordinance is adopted. Number 19, Ms. Tony?
This is to revoke the 15-foot drainage servitude along the ditch running north and south on Lot 1 of the Millie Godin property as shown on the map, simple division of the map showing survey of Lot 1A and Lot 1B being the subdivision of Lot 1 dated 8/22/2005. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council as the governing authority for the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, in lawful session, hereby revokes the 15-foot utility servitude running along the north and south drainage ditch of Lot 1 of the aforementioned property. All other public servitudes affecting said property are hereby reserved.
Need a motion to open public hearing, please. Got a motion by Councilman Adrian Thompson. Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Anyone want to speak on this agenda item, please come forward, and you'll be allowed 3 minutes.
Motion to close.
Got a motion to close by Councilman Todd Lambert. Second by Councilman George Valentine. Need a motion to approve the order. Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman George Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. Before we get to Councilman Lambert, once again, thanks to Cinnamon and Maurer for putting us together tonight. Ms. Tony Foltzman, our legal, Ms. Beth James, thank you. Lester Kenyon, thank you, sir. Deputy Charleston Dimmer in the back, thank you, sir. Happy birthday to Ms. Kimlin Lomas in our legal department. And as always, thank God for our parish employees. Thank y'all. Councilman Lambert.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn. Second by Councilman Chris Lowe.